My name is Pratigya Pal and my student ID is S224848362. So this is my submission for the distinction task 1 for the unit SIT 112 Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. So the objective of this task was to analyze the data published by 4 different news publishers online on YouTube and the and to give an overview of whatever data science I've worked in it, I would like to say that I've used data cleaning, data preparation, data analysis, as well as data visualization. Um, so in this task, I had to choose a topic, news topic, on which the videos will be, and there will be and some list of keywords that to be used for finding videos on that topic. So I've chosen the Russia and Ukrainian war as my topic, as I've found a lot of content online for that, and the keywords were also easier. So guiding through all of the steps one by one. So the very first step get access to the YouTube API that is used for collecting the data. So I've followed all the steps that were given here and then created an API and then quickly assigned that here in the developer key. The next step was to choose the list of the keywords and make that changes in the settings file of the collect file that has been given with the dash sheet. So if we just go through this file here, sorry. So the very first topic was to do the imports. Here are all the modules that we'll be needing in the further steps. So we can see Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib, all of them are here. So whenever I run the code, yeah. So I've received an output that downloading package stopwords as it is already up to date. So after running this shell, all the modules were imported here. And the next step was to make changes in the settings cell. So here what I've done is I've assigned the videos file as videos.csv and comments.csv and linked the credentials here so that it can get access to the API. And then I've used keywords such as Putin, Zelensky, Ukraine update, and Russia-Ukraine war to get and extract the required amount of videos. So the channels that I used in my tasks are Fox News, BBC News, CNN, and MSNBC. So when we run this cell, we get no error. And then the next step was to load the credential for authentication. Here we can find the functions such as load credentials, and then the developer key is assigned here. I'll just run this. The next step was to extract the channel ID and channel title of the sample video. So this part comes under the data cleaning and preparation. So I have run the commands to get the channel info to extract all the required videos that we need to analyze. Here is the long code for that. So if we just go through each and every step one by one, here's the get channel videos that extracts the videos, and then we have the details that we want, whatever the details we want the views count, likes count, duration, definition, everything here. And I'll just run this as well. And that this particular file creates a videos.csv file, as we can see here, that these are the tags, and that's the likes, dislike counts, and everything. Coming back here, so this cell aimed to create a comments.csv file, and then when we run this, I've already done that. I'm doing it once again. So it creates a comments.csv file. Again, if we just compare the attributes, we have the same attributes that we have listed here: reply ID, author text, comment text, like count, reply count, and we can clearly see here all of the attributes are present here as well. Then the final part was to clean the data. In data cleaning, I have used commands to drop the duplicate files and drop the rows which have missing content, because they create hindrance while analyzing the data, and they create problems there. So in order to get a smooth data analysis done, so I perform these commands to clean the data and make it completely ready for the analysis. The final step was to call the functions and retrieve all the data files. So the lines here have correctly indicate that my files have been correctly loaded. The next part of the task was to analyze the videos and comments. So I've chosen first and second question. In the first question, I was asked to compare the distribution of numbers of views, likes, and comments for the videos. Since it was given in the question to use a histogram and a kernel density function, I have utilized them in my code very clearly. So a kernel density function is basically a smooth curve that shows where the data is mostly concentrated. It is a way to smoothly estimate the shape of the distribution of data. So using that, um, this is the output of my first question, and the curve that is present here represents the kernel density function. So talking about the code, I've quickly imported the libraries and I've loaded the data into the CSV file. And then this task is for the data cleaning, and then I've assigned a white grid to the plot, and I've given the KDE value true because I want the kernel density function to be present in my graphs. So, and then simply giving the X and Y label and title of the subplots, I was able to create three different subplots. The major observations were that the number of views, likes, and comments were very less, because this represents the number of videos, the frequency of the videos, and they were very high, and they are mostly clustered towards the left. So most of the data is only clustered towards the left. Coming on to the second question, it asked about the number of views, likes, and comments published by all of the news publishers. Again, I've taken the same snippet of the code, importing, loading, and then treating data. The only difference in this question was to talk about the total number of views. So here I've used a sum function to calculate the total number of views, likes, and comments. I've grouped all the channel titles because the same formula was being used by all of the news publishers. And since it wasn't mentioned what kind of plot I want to use, I decided to use a bar plot. It can be seen here that I have given the labels according to the channel names. And here's the output of my second question. It is clearly visible that CNN has the number of highest views, highest likes, and highest comments. Fox News and MSNBC remained a bit same throughout the given timeline. As we can see, there's a very less difference in total number of views, likes, and comments. This was the observation that I made from this question. Talking about E2, I have solved the question number 7 that asked me to compare the average number of videos published per week across different news publishers. So For this, I just created a very small function to calculate the number of videos, the average number of videos published per week. I've used a very simple formula, max minus minimum divided by 7, to calculate the average videos. And then again, it wasn't listed in the question, so I decided to use a bar plot because it's easier to compare using a bar plot. And here's my output. And it's clearly seen from the output that the x-axis represents the channel names and y represents the average videos. So MSNBC has the highest number of average videos published per week. So this channel has published the highest number of videos, while BBC News has published the less number of videos. Coming towards the end of my explanation of my solution notebook, I would like to mention the challenges and obstacles faced while completing this task. I would like to take the example of this question as while running, while executing this, oh, sorry, while executing this question, I got, if we just run from here, I got an error and this is displayed now, and I got an error here. So this is not exactly an error, that's a warning. And in the warning I can clearly see that it needs to add some of the instances here. So while this was my major problem while executing the commands, I used to face errors and warnings. And using the uh, prompts given by the Jupyter notebook, I tried to inculcate that in my code, and by that I was successful in completion of this task. All in all, this task was a result of patience and consistency.